Okay guys, I want to do a quick video here for you to show you my new setup. Right now I'm looking at my laptop that's out in the garage, and I'm actually monitoring and using a TeamViewer remote access program. So the nice thing about it, this right here will let you monitor another laptop. So what it is, I got my Batrum system set up for balancing my power bank. It's a 7S. It's doing really well. Once I finally got everything lined out, it was being a little bit of a pain, but now it seems to be doing quite well. So anyways, right now we got the system set up and running good. I got the Batrum is functioning properly. I do have another program here that I use to monitor. It's called Solar Power, and this is for my MPP solar PIP, and it's a hybrid. So it works as a off-grid inverter, on-grid inverter, and it also acts as a charging. So right now this shows you kind of an animation of what's going on. This down here is the kilowatts that I've produced over time. So it keeps track of monthly, annually. Okay, and you can see, and of course months it was very cloudy, didn't do a whole lot, but boy, in the months we got sun, and only got 270 watt panels. So right at just a hair over a kilowatt of solar on, so on a good day it will get up as high as over 1,000 watts. So right now it's in the evening, the sun's kind of going down, it's a little cloudy, so right now it's not putting out a whole lot. But the nice thing about this thing, it has a lot of functions. You can program it to oh, that's not what I wanted. Settings. Anyways, you could program it to do charge source priority, solar first, solar then utility, or solar only as a charging source for your batteries. Max charging current, you can set 30 amps all the way up to 100. Well, actually over 100. 140 amps. So I'll never really need that much, so I'll keep mine a little bit lower. Max charging AC current, so like when it takes over, if there's no solar and the cells happen to get low at night, then this is set up to where it'll use 2 amps to start using from the grid to charge up my batteries again. So that's really sweet how that works. Okay. It has user defined, so you can change these settings. This is your bulk charging, and then your float charging. So if you had lead acid, you'd probably have these a little differently, because you'd bulk it up and then let it kind of settle down to another voltage. But these are lithium. So I got them set at 28.2 and 28.2. So it basically charges up and just stays at the same point. So, and of course, over here is, you can set your priorities for solar power. Priority, the solar is going to charge up the battery first. Then once the batteries are full, it will actually take care of the load in the home on the circuits that I've got set up. And then if those are satisfied, then the rest of the energy will be going back to the grid. So back to the utility. Output source priority, solar, battery, utility. And of course these are your frequencies. This is your voltages as far as what you want it to get down to before it takes over and starts charging from the grid. And this is what it will actually start utilizing the battery again once it's charged up to 28 volts again. And of course this is a cutoff voltage down here. If it gets down to 24, it just cuts it off completely. It doesn't use any voltage from the batteries, so it's a safety. So anyways, that is that, and this is all kind of done remotely. I'm sitting in my kitchen, and I'm and I can actually, as long as I got Wi-Fi access, if I'm in another location, I can check on my solar to see how it's putting out, how it's doing. I can look at my batteries to see how they're doing with my Batrum, which is really sweet. Right now it's balancing. It's got some cells. I made some changes to the voltage peaks, and I'm trying to get them a little bit lower, because I want to have a little bit of a sync between this program and the other one, because it seemed like earlier they were fighting. This one's wanting to discharge it to get it down to a certain point. The other one's wanting to charge it up to get it to a certain point. So it was kind of a constant ongoing fight between the two. So I'm trying to get it tweaked to where it's not like a constant battle for balancing or charging. So this is a balancing program, battery management. It keeps track of temperature, keeps track of this is the minimum cell voltage, this is the maximum cell voltage throughout the packs. As you can see too, you know the grid lines here, you can see this is just running just a hair lower than this one, and of course the rest of these. I did drop my voltage down earlier to 4.02, so right now it's in the process of backing all these down to the 4.02. And you can see the shunt is showing negative, so it's actually feeding the house right now as well. So I got some solar coming in. The battery bank is actually taking care of the rest of it. So this is why it's showing a negative on the shunt, because it's using energy. This is the voltage, 28.4. So I think I got the other one set at 28.2, I think it is. So I did have it at 4, but I dropped it down a little bit to see if I can get more feeding back to the grid, and it's working, because so you can see now that the panels are actually charging this. It's satisfying the load, and then now some of it's actually back feeding to the grid. So that's a good sign. If I can get it tweaked to where it's keeping the battery full, it's taking care of the circuits in the house, and feeding back to the grid, that means I'm using that much less energy from the grid, and my electric bill will continue to be lower. It has been for months. I've tried several different options as far as how I run this. This one right here I think is going to work out really better because it's going to be scalable. I can really get the battery bank bigger. So if I want to go with continue with the 7S, I can actually do 7 more cells like I got now. So what it is, I've got 150 18650 cells in one battery. So they're all parallel. That's one 4-volt battery, one's fully charged. So if I do 7 more, and I can add these Longmons, and I got some videos on my channel showing the Longmons and kind of how they work. But anyways, what they do is they help to keep those cells balanced. So if I wanted to add, say, make this a 14S, this software will let you modify it to where it will run 14S. You can run 2 banks of 14S and keep track of them. You can run 2 banks of 7S. It's really, really handy. I mean, and the Longmons is all you would have to add. So the software is already here, the shunt's already here. It will take quite a bit as far as voltages and amperages. I think I got like a 500 amp shunt. Okay, so if I wanted to run 500 amps through that, it would manage it. So that's the really cool thing about this system. It lets you expand it for not a lot of money. The way I was doing my batteries, if you look at some of my videos before, I was building these trays, which spent it took a lot of money, took a lot of time. There was a lot of figuring out how to make sure as I expanded that everything worked well. And of course I had a state of charge board, and it was just a nightmare putting all the components on it, plus the expense. So I finally, before I got too deep as far as money, decided to go with this system, and I think I'm really going to like it. So anyways, guys, I'm going to try not to make this thing too super long as far as the video goes. So I'm going to try to finish up, and you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Like, subscribe, and give me a thumbs up if you would, please, and we'll see you soon.